everybody, this is Beth McCullough. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I am so excited to show you this fun fold card today. I call it a bird ballad fun fold because that's the kind of paper that we use to make it. This particular card actually came in the mail from my sweet friend and stamping teammate Linda Lace from Wisconsin. I was so excited to get this. I actually haven't made a card like this before now. And then she also put a cute strip on the back, so there is a place to write. But this card is so beautiful and sits up so nicely. So as soon as I got that, I knew I wanted to make one. So I decided to case it. When you case a card, it's called copy and share everything. So I made it very similar. This is crumb cake cardstock from Stampin' Up. All the DSP you see on both cards is from the Bird Ballad DSP. And then I popped up the same bird and I put a different color. This is so saffron I put for my circle. These circles were cut out with the stitched shapes from Stampin' Up. And the big cardstock layer is the biggest stitch shape circle, and the birds are cut out with the second biggest shape. So after I made this one, I started thinking I really like this paper too. It's also in the same set of designer series paper. So this card base is petal pink, and this layer here is pool party. So what I did different is I added a cardstock layer under the centerpiece, and I used the same DSP, designer series paper, on all three. I also added small strips to the sides, and I changed up what the bird was on. The bird is cut from these stitched nested label dies. These also are available June 4th, 2019. So for my bird, I stamped it in Memento ink, and then I used the Stampin' Up! Alcohol markers. They're called Stampin' Blends, and I colored the bird. So this bird is just cut out of the fancy paper. This bird I stamped and colored. But I really like how it turned out. It's just so cute. And I did put a piece of paper on the back of mine too. So let's get started, and I'll show you how to make the card today. I'm going to use my Stampin' Trimmer, and I have a template of how to do this. Every time I make a 3D project or a fun fold card, I like to make a template on white cardstock, and that way I keep this, and when I want to make the card again using different supplies, it's a lot easier to recreate it. So you can see for this, the cardstock is 5.5 by 8.5. Now these directions will be posted on my blog, stampingmom.com, on Friday, May 17th, 2019. So please stop over and you can get all the directions. So another thing we need to do is we need to score at 2, 3 1/8, 5 3/8, and 6.5. I know some people don't really like doing eighths, and so another thing you can do is just turn the paper the other way and score at 2 and 3 1/8 from both sides. That's what I'll show you how to do today. So I'm going to put my cardstock in, score it at 2 and 3/8. Now, if you aren't familiar, there's 16 notches in every inch. That's where the 16s come in. So the first little notch past 3 is 3 1/16, and then the 8s are slightly bigger. They're a middle size line. So this would be 3 1/8. Now I'm going to turn the cardstock the other way and do the same thing again. Score it at 2 and 3 1/8. Okay, that's all I need the trimmer for. Now, a lot of times I use Tombow liquid glue to glue these on, but for the sake of time, I'm going to use snail adhesive. It's just quicker. If I bring the template back in, you can see that these layers are 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. And you can do all 3 layers like that if you want. That's what Linda did on the first card. I'm adding cardstock. I've made so many cards with this pretty paper. I actually ran out of this and I don't have a third strip. So I'm going to case myself, and I cut out some pool party cardstock using the layered leaves embossing folder. So don't worry if you don't have the same products. You can make this with anything. And then another thing I did is I added these strips of designer series paper. They're 7/8 inch by 5 1/4. So that is how it's going to come together. So I'll go ahead and adhere this. Like I said, when you use the glue, you have more wiggle room to make sure you get it on straight, but it's pretty easy to eyeball it. Now I'm going to take the strip from the other side and put this one on, and we're just centering it in each of these rectangles. Now I'm going to do the skinny strips. And again,